Well, it's Engendered o'clock. Thanks for joining us this beautiful evening on the show Engendered, where we bring you every details about the female gender. Once again, I am Victoria Agbi.
Welcome to the program this evening. Just like Victoria said, it is Engendered o'clock, and I'm your co-host for today, Pamela Ajaero. We'll be bringing our topic and also our guest, who will be doing justice to the topic after the short break. To stay with us.
Please, girls, let's be fast with our chores. It's almost time for Engendered.
Girls, it's time for your favorite program, Engendered.
Yeah, Mommy, we're coming right away. Sophia, turn off the gas. What are your fears as a woman? And what are your doubts as a lady? You think you're alone with those thoughts? Then welcome to Engendered, where we bring you discuss, interviews, previews, experiences, opinions, and issues relating to the female gender. This is Engendered.
All right, welcome back once again. And if you're just joining us, you're still watching Engendered. Earlier went on a break, and now it's about time that we'll begin the show. And we've been joined by our guest in the studio. But before we allow you get to meet her, well, let's give you a background as to what we'll be discussing this evening. And as you know, we bring in very interesting topics for you to perhaps look at, and then we get divergent views about it. And today we even have a special guest to do justice to it. But like I said, let me take you through the background, which is, well, let's see, for many girls and women, getting their period means putting their lives on hold. In some places, menstruation is associated with stigma, and girls feel embarrassed with often excluding themselves from schools and other school activities during their periods. Lack of access to functional and segregated toilets, limited information on menstrual hygiene management, and limited availability of sanitary materials to manage menstruation make it more difficult for girls to manage their periods. Now, sanitary pads are even more expensive and often inaccessible. Some girls resort to managing their periods with pieces of rags or paper, which are often unhygienic and uncomfortable. Others ask for permission to leave school premises, and many stay at home during their periods. Well, today we'll be looking at the topic menstrual hygiene, affordability and accessibility of sanitary towels amidst inflation. And we'll be doing this with no other person than an activist and an advocate of the girl child. She is no other person than Freda Irabor.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We don't have our bell today. Welcome to the show. I like the way you are dressed. Like, it's dressing for me. I've been looking at you since you came here, like, wow.
She has come to advocate for the female girl child, and she is not going to take it easy with anybody that stands on her way.
She's not going to grieve for anybody.
It's good to have you join us, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
How do you do?
I'm very well, thank you.
How is the economy treating you? Well, today there was, let's not forget that there was a protest by the NLC, and driving home their demands going to last till tomorrow. So how do you feel with the whole economic meltdown here and there?
We're hoping that at this point we need God to step in. Yes, we're hoping that our leaders are actually at the top of their job, and we are praying for them. Yeah, because all we can do is pray for them. Yes.
You know, when you talk about prayer, most people mock the Christians and be like, Nigerians now own so much. Everything you say prayer. White people, they don't even go to church. White people, they don't even do too much religious activities. But Nigerians, we carry on for head. You see, some people will go for 6 a.m. mass, they'll go for 12 a.m. mass, and all what's not. If it's praying, trust me, we pray in this country. We pray a lot in this country, but things keep getting worse. Don't you think we have to now think for us to actually make the country better? But not living the prayer. Of course, prayer is very important, but once you pray and just sit, nothing works.
You know, I was watching or listening to one of the founders of the big ministries, and he said that our problems are actually spiritual, and I was very agitated with that comment because you can always incline our problems to be spiritual. It just makes people very lazy to walk. I remember then in school, the mantra then was, walk as though you've not prayed. No, okay, read as though you've not prayed, and pray as though you've not read.
Okay.
Nice. Do you get? So it just means that when you're working harder, and when you're praying harder, two blends together.
Yeah.
So I think in a way, I'm not saying it's wrong to pray. Another is Pamela saying so, but our leaders ought to take responsibility and work twice or double as they've never had to, because that was the promise initially. Now, okay,
that is fact. You both have said well, but like you said the spiritual leader said
our
our
problems.
problem is spiritual. Okay, I think it's coming from the point where the Bible makes us to understand that we are spirit beings. So whether we like it, and the Bible says, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood. So whatever your battles are, it can never be flesh and blood. And the Bible says that the battle is of the Lord. You can't fight it. And coming back to you, you said something that struck me, and it's very true. The Bible says prayer without works is dead. You can't keep praying. I gave instance to my friends on what is happening in Israel, the war between Israel and Palestine. And I told them, I said, are you watching the war? You see the way Israel are fighting? They are fighting with drones. They are not feeling the war. They were prepared for it. But you guys are calling the God of Israel. And Israel are using drones to win war. So why didn't Israel just fold their hands? And since it's the God of Israel, and then they just start shouting, God of Israel, come and fight for us. And it will always make the Bible correct. Prayer without works is dead. And that is why I say we are hoping that our leaders are actually putting their foot down. Because where the country is now, it's nothing to smile about. Nobody's smiling on the streets. Nobody's smiling on the streets. And but all we can do is hope and pray.
Okay, saying nobody's smiling on the streets, and you heard what I read initially. Okay, recently I was strolling through my social media, and I saw a very, very, very funny clip as a lady trying to illustrate that she brought out a box of pad, and she was saying, this pad that has now increased in price, and she now brought alternatives, rags, as alternatives. So I want to ask, like, is that the way we should go currently? Because I've not had to buy pad recently because I had old stock, but then I've heard it has increased in the market. So how did we get here?
I have bought pad recently, and I'll tell you for a fact that the pad you bought 6 months ago for 400 naira, it's now 1,200 naira, whether you like it or not. And for those of us with heavy flow, you have to buy two. So that is 2,400. So if you see the woman telling you, I'm going to use pieces, she's coming from a place of frustration that how much is minimum wage? That you're taking 2,400 every month to buy pad, and you have other bills to settle. But we shouldn't neglect the fact that these pieces, these rags, can cause us infections, and these infections you will spend more than 2,400 to treat them. So we should keep that in mind.
But our parents, or perhaps grandparents, used rags. There were no sanitary towels at the time, and they gave birth to us. I'm here, I'm healthy. You know, there were no infections. Okay, so wouldn't you think we are going extra mile with all this kind of advancements in a way? Because if I have an option of using a pieces, I wouldn't call it rag, and it's well cleaned and the likes, and I know when it's placed properly, I wouldn't get stained. Shouldn't it be perhaps a good option instead?
I like when people refer back to our parents used these and it didn't cost them infections and these. And I tell them we are a fragile generation, whether you like it or not.
And that's true.
Yes, our parents, of course, they did use pieces, but they were taking herbs They were, yes, they were working on themselves. They were actually working on themselves. But we are not working on ourselves. How many of us go to farm? Do you know farming is exercise? You go there, you burn fat, you do the, and then when they are done, they take some herbs, they pluck some leaves. They know every leaves in that bush. If you take me into any bush, I don't know. Sometimes I might I might say this is bitter leaf and then it's scent leaf. So you can't really compare our parents to us because what they know back then, we don't know it. The way they treat themselves, we cannot. So this is our generation.
Okay, then how would you say a girl or a female child should manage in this hardship economy in regards to buying of pad?
God bless you. I have been doing research on this issue, and there's actually a solution for it.
Okay.
And I would say reusable. There's what we call reusable pads.
Okay.
Yes, you wash it and you reuse it.
Okay, they made it reusable.
Yeah, they made it.
That's like napkins?
Not like napkins. It's like your normal pad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the shape, the way your normal pad is being installed, is being used and all that. But these are reusable. When you're done, you extract the stuff from the pad, you wash,
Okay.
and then you dry. Some company, they customize theirs in a way where there's a way to dry it. There you just put it in a small stuff, and then you just hang it, and then you dry it and all that. And this reusable can last you for a year.
I'm sure it's not be too expensive since it's lasting for a year.
Yeah, that is it. It's actually not expensive.
Really?
It's just that with the current situation in the country, the price must have gone up. And then the tax these companies are paying. I wish government can look into that, that these companies are here to help. Because how many girls, how many women, let's be frank with ourselves, can afford 2,400 naira every month to buy pad? That I can afford it does not mean that my neighbor can afford it.
Sure.
So I wish government will look into reusable and bring these NGOs into it and say, okay,
Well,
how do we distribute these stuff?
Well, when you talk about NGOs, they kind of try their best, because most times when I've seen people perhaps distribute parts, it's not coming from the government. Most time it comes from pocket humanitarians and the likes of them. So I feel like they are doing a lot. But let me take you backward a bit. Like the cost of sanitary towels in a bit. Do you think it has any way it affects the functionality of women in itself? Perhaps, like, how does it affect women?
You mean sanitary pads?
Yeah, the cost.
The cost of sanitary. Of course, it does. It does, because just imagine where you are buying a pad of 2,400, as we said before, and now you can no longer afford it because you were buying this stuff for 400 naira. So I spoke with some ladies, some girls in my neighborhood, and I asked them that how are you guys managing the economy? Because I know they are not buoyant and they don't come from rich homes, and some of them, of course, uses pieces. But it will beat your imagination to hear that most of these girls, they will tell you, I have light flow, I don't have heavy flow, so I go a whole day using my pad. And expert has told you that you shouldn't use pad for more than 6 hours because it will take bacteria back into your body, and that bacteria leads to infection. This infection can cause you yeast and urinary tract diseases and all that. So, and most of them will tell you, I have heavy flow, but what I do is I put tissue on top of my pad. Then I wear it so it can last long. Some persons will tell you, I put it in the morning and I remove it the next day morning. And tissue is not healthy to see, period. Because tissue can cause you cervical cancer. Yes, it's not healthy because of the chemicals they use in making them. So to answer your question, it's not easy on them. Yeah. Because the route they are taking is not hygiene. It's not hygienic at all.
I wanted to ask you about hours, but you already said it. At least 6 hours, one should take off the pad. Okay, let's talk about disposing pad. Yes, which are the best ways to dispose pad? Earlier, I shared your story of someone who went to a boarding school, and during all the periods she did during that first term, she has to put all the pad, the used pad, inside her bag. And everywhere was smelling. People were like, what's going on? And when we discovered, like, people were like, why will you do that? And the rest, and she was kind of shy about it.
She felt bad.
And she felt bad. But my concern was, another person came and said, okay, someone said, you would have thrown it inside the pit. And so someone else like him, why will you say she should throw it inside the pit? It should be trashed in the bin. And lots of other controversies about trashing pad. Now, which one will you say medically and which is more healthy? What should one do in trashing used pad?
Okay, I think everybody have their way of trashing pad, but it's advisable to dispose them properly. For environmental sanitation's sake, you don't just throw your pad on the streets with blood, and it's not good to the eyesight. Okay, but I would advise personally that you should tie them in a black nylon and put them in the bin.
Okay.
Yes, tie them in a black nylon and then put them in the bin. And afterwards, because I always I preach washing your hands. Please wash your hands. Yeah.
Let's also talk about the stigmatization that comes with having your period. This is a very healthy thing for a woman to have. Every girl child, every woman menstruates. So I don't know, why do we have people being stigmatized about it in the society?
So add to what she said, I know I've given this instance before. At a parliament in Kenya, there was this woman who, like, I don't know if she was using it to portray what she was trying to, the bill she wanted to pass at that moment. But she came out to the floor and she was stained in a white regalia. And so another woman, I said, you're stained, please go back and sit down. She said, it's normal. I'm a woman, I have menstrual periods and the rest. And her fellow woman told her, no, you cannot talk or stand and pass a message currently because you're stained. And she now said, but it's a normal thing actually. So it caused chaos or kind of the tantrums at the moment in the parliament. So this discussion as to, some people would just say, okay, when you're stained, they'll say, go back inside the house. Well, yes, it's like, it now makes it seem as though perhaps some sort of like a disease or a plague or something. So let's talk about the stigmatization.
Okay, I think parents, because I believe education starts from the home before you go to the four walls of school, whether primary, tertiary, university, whatever. I believe parents need to educate not just the female child, but as well as the male child on menstruation, period, menstrual hygiene and all that. Because I was in a place where we were in school, we were paying school fees, and then a lady was stained. And it was the guy at my front that took off his jacket to cover her. Because he understood that, okay, this thing is normal. And it just met her at the wrong place, you know. But some other ladies there, they were like, they frowned at it. Now, we need to bring more awareness. We need to talk about it more so that both the men and the women, girls and boys, will understand that this is a normal, a natural cause. You cannot change it. You can stop it. It can happen. It doesn't give you, it doesn't phone you and say, I'm coming in 2 hours. It comes anytime. And there are some persons that have cramps before period. It's a blessing to have cramps before period.
Really?
Yes,
Oh, really?
it is. Because you know that if I leave my house today without pad, I'm in trouble. But there are some that don't, it just comes. And when it happens,
I get you.
do you want to shame them? So parents need to do more schooling. They need to educate their kids at home and say, this is a natural occurrence. You can't do anything about it. The highest you can do is when you see it happen, just try and approach them and, you know, soften the situation so they don't feel embarrassed. Yeah.
And you know, this thing you said there, most ladies out there, they mostly frown at another lady not having stained by her blood, while they'll be like, don't you know that you are meant to be having your period by this time? You're meant to calculate it. Mostly it's still we that will stigmatize the next woman.
Because you're the one that know about calculation.
Yes,
actually.
and now still talking about calculation, you have to take us through this calculating of your period, how it is, because I know most people out there, it just comes. Of course, you wouldn't know when it's coming, it wouldn't phone you, but at least you have to be prepared. You have to know, like, I know from this phase to this phase, you should expect it at a particular time. And if you don't know how it works, there's no way you can calculate it. Your calculation might not be accurate all the time, but you know that within this period, I should be expecting my period, so I should keep a pad inside my bag just in case. So please, can you take us through how do one calculate this menstrual cycle?
Yeah, actually you said it all. It's not hard to calculate. You know, there are apps now that you can use in following up. You just, there's an app called Flow.
Yeah, so many apps now.
So many apps you just use in following up. Although I understand some people though, theirs come, like some persons that have infections and all that, it can come like abruptly when they least expect it. They'll be like, oh, I'm expecting my period in 2 weeks, but I think it just came, you know, just come like that, infections and all that. But you can actually calculate it because you're counting 28 days and let's say on the 6th you saw your period. So try and for the next, if you're approaching that 2 weeks, 3 weeks, try and be very conscious of yourself. You can hold pads wherever you're going. Try to check your body system, because in as much as we say, oh, some persons don't get signs and all that, you will know. There will be changes in your body. Me, I always look fine. I know it's coming. I look fresh. Everything looks fresh. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, the same shoes.
This is it. I'm like,
dude, was it last 2 Sundays? I looked at myself in the mirror. I said, I look so fine. I don't understand. Like it didn't come out that day, but it came out the next day. So anytime I look extra fine, like early in the morning, I was like, period is about to come.
For me, right? Sometimes when it's about to come, I just like feel the need to wash my clothes and clean the house. Then 2 Saturdays, the strength comes, and you just see the next day it's there.
Yeah, motivation.
Yes. All right. So still talking about because the major topic highlights is the affordability and accessibility because of the hike in prices of things, especially when you consider the rural communities. You find out that all this laughter we are laughing here, it's not funny out there, and people have decided to really adopt the use of pieces and the likes, because even the NGOs, there's only little they can do. We cannot get everywhere at the same time. I would like to ask, why do you think we continually have this rise in sanitary pads? Is it because of the monopoly, or perhaps, or what? And I saw recently someone trying to make a pad by themselves. I don't know where the initiative came from, but it was on social media. They were making pads for themselves. So why do you think we continually have this hike in prices for pads, knowing fully well that these things should be easily accessible to people? Do you get? We disburse these things like as gifts to people, and yet you go to the spa, you go to the shop, the price is hiked like 2 times double. It should be a necessity, just like you have water. Although now water is now even getting expensive. You buy a sachet of water for 15 naira, or a bag for 400. But it should be just like you have a shelter, necessity of life and the likes. Shouldn't pad be the same thing? Because without the period or the menstrual flow, a woman cannot conceive. Do you get? So it's part of life. So why do you think we keep having this? Maybe it shouldn't even be termed like a conscience act. Maybe perhaps we should term it inhumane to have price being taken up every time when you know that it's just a necessity for every woman.
I think that's where awareness comes in. Because I was joking with my friends the other day. I said, you go to parties and they share condoms for free. And condoms are very cheap. I said, but are they necessity? Most of you you're not supposed to be having sex at this age. And most of you are married. Except maybe, why can't sanitary pad be shared? in parties. Why can't I go to party and say, they gave me a full bag of sanitary pads, so I won't buy pads for the next 6 months? And it all boils down to women always come last in this country. Let's be frank with ourselves. But awareness is the way out. When you start bringing awareness to these things, that the prices are going high, you won't blame these companies. They make these things with materials. They run the company with foil, and you know the cost of foil now. It's 600, almost 700. You are buying black market for 1,000 naira. So you won't really blame them that the prices are going away, and they pay tax. They pay tax. But it is also important to call the government and say, come, it's choking us. We can't do without it. If it was something we can do without, we would have just ignored you guys, but we can't do without it. This is a part of us, and it's becoming expensive. And at the end of the day, people will shout that women are too expensive because we have natural bills that we can't shy away from. And also the reusable. If the reusable can flood the country, every state flood it with reusable. Reusable you are buying for 3,500. You can use it for 1 year. Sanitary pad you're buying for 2,400, and at the end of that month you have to buy the next month. So I think these companies that
but you know, not everybody can really stand the irritation. Like I call it irritation because now, for instance, as a nurse, perhaps you're used to seeing blood and the rest. Even as women, we're used to seeing blood. But there's this kind of like, perhaps you get irritated. Not everybody can stand it. Yes. So
as for the reusable,
yes,
having to want to wash
it,
blood out.
yes, and dry and all that. Okay, you are hitting on the point of how are we going to manage this price on sanitary pad, and
I'm hitting on the point where, like, in case I'm not able to stand it, because you're saying perhaps we should flood the system or the country with reusable, but should we now get like an adaptive system, like, oh, let me just learn how to wash a pad I've used before and still reuse it again?
I have this belief system that if you can't change it, you make a way out. If you flood with reusable, you've given options to people that don't have options. Now, for those that have irritation that, I don't like seeing blood, so what I do is I just remove my sanitary and take my face away and just trash it.
You see that easy?
I don't know how possible that is, but maybe there are some persons that do it like that. We are calling the government. We are begging them. We say, the tax you're imposing on these companies, something is making the price go up. They didn't just wake up one morning and say sanitary pad from 250 to 1,200, from 400 to 2,400. They didn't wake up. It was the cost of foil. It was the cost of material to produce these things. So if the government can look in the same way the market woman is crying, the same way.
Well, you should be aware that even the market women have not, the government have not even looked towards their direction. In a system whereby it is patriarchal in nature, I bet you the governments are busy with other things, like in terms of economy and the like.
Yes.
And we have the Ministry of Women Affairs out there. We have the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs still, even though it's heading, it's kind of vacant now. I think women ought to do more. Like in terms of when it comes to community, I know women have this community where they used to empower other women, and perhaps those communities should be channeled through dishing out. I know I've had to cover a report where a woman single-handedly through a community outside the country and here in Nigeria, she gave out pads, reusable and sanitary pads in itself. So perhaps if more of this can be done, because we cannot totally depend on the government for everything. They don't have a time.
That's a fact.
It's a men's word.
That's a fact. But trust me, I've thought of this, your idea. You know, I've not just thought about it. I plan on distributing sanitary pad as soon as I'm done incorporating my foundation. But I had a second thought. How many can you distribute? How many? Nigeria is over 200 million people. Women are 51% of those 200 million. How many can you distribute? This thing is monthly, every month. These organizations are trying. They've been distributing. But how many? And most times when you distribute this stuff, it gets to the hands of these men and they'll tell you, I want to go and give it to my wife. They will go and sell it. How many can you distribute? It's just to create a system where you have options. Okay, bring these reusable. Since they are affordable and they can last for 1 year, bring them into the system.
But then, is that a lasting solution though? Because we have, like you gave an instance of condoms. Yeah, they are not reusable, but they are out there. It is easily accessible, and their prices. I think one condom she said for 15 naira or thereabouts, maybe 115 naira, and the price has not changed in years, and it's been there. So if that could exist, how come we keep having a price hike on sanitary towels and pads?
The thing is, when you say the price has not changed, I don't know. I wouldn't know about that because I don't know the current price of it now. But if you cannot beat them, if you can't beat this government, you can't fight them. It's powerful. We just keep hoping and praying that they look into the right things, that they work on things, that we see change, we see them doing something. But before that, create an option. Just put an option on ground. Because instead, if you want to wait for government, of course you can wait for them. You can wait 10 years, 8 years. NGOs will keep working. They are working tirelessly. They are working. They are distributing. They'll keep working, but they can't distribute this thing to everybody. So create an option for those that are still using PCs that are prone to infections. There are women in the hospital today that are looking for children, not because they have they destroyed their womb, but because of infections, series of infections that had to do with using pieces of clothes and unhealthy materials for period and all that. So to avoid all these things, let's just use reusable. And even the reusable I'm talking about, you have to use the right one. Because I can wake up one morning and say, I want to make reusable, and just tear my mom's wrapper. And reusable, that is reusable, and just shaping it. You have to still buy from a genuine and a well-sensitized, and they are up to standard. You have to still buy from them. And that's what we are still calling the government, that these people are paying tax. Please, can you do something? Can the government do something to drop the price of sanitary pad? Do something. If that's the only thing you do for women in 2024, we will be grateful.
Talking about involving the government, calling on government to do something. If government can actually add subsidy, like use subsidy for fuel, why wouldn't they do that for sanitary pad?
But don't forget the government has removed subsidy.
No,
now.
I'm just saying that.
So it means that the government cannot take that burden again. Well, I'm not the government.
How much is fuel? How much is pad? You have to check. Even if it's 100 naira, they have to pay for the people. Why they now struggle for the rest? Or they pay half and allow the people to pay half. That is a lot they would have done. If they don't want to make it to be free, it will be difficult. People are doing this material, they have to be paid for it. So that you slash it into two, okay, we are going to be giving subsidy for half of it. Why do poor masses go for half? I think that will go a very long way. And also you talked about, I'm still trying to understand this, reusable pad, then you are having your pieces that you can also reuse. Aren't they same thing?
No, it's not same because reusable are made in form of sanitary pad, but it's something that you wash and you can rewear. But pieces is being torn from materials that you don't know the chemicals that they were made from, wrappers and sometimes towel. And those towel, they've been exposed to so many things and all that. And people are not careful what they use. They just tear wrapper and they are good to go. Some of them use cotton wool. They just keep doing things just because of the cost of sanitary. Yeah? But reusable, no. That's why I say you have to buy from companies that are standard, that are being checked by the World Health Organization, that passes the due process to make these things and sell at cheaper rate. Of course, you can wash, sun it, pick another, use, and you're okay. And most of them are so comfortable. Oh, they are so comfortable.
There are some methods that I got to realize not quite long, like the cup.
Ah,
I don't
Lord
know how
have
that
mercy.
works.
I
saw
don't know
it.
how that.
I
How
don't know
does
how
that
it works.
work?
Yeah.
Do you?
Is it that you put the cup inside your pants,
Oh,
then
I-
you wear it, or how?
Oh,
Well, I guess you get to know more of that when we go on the short break. Well, we'll be going on the short break, and when we return, Engender continues because we have a lot still to unpack. So do not go anywhere. Stay with us.
Please, girls, let's be fast with our chores. It's almost time for Engendered.
Girls, it's time for your favorite program, Engendered.
Yeah, Mommy, we're coming right away. Sophia, turn off the gas. What are your fears as a woman? And what are your doubts as a lady? You think you're alone with those thoughts? Then welcome to Engendered, where we bring you discuss, interviews, previews, experiences, opinions, and issues relating to the female gender. This is Engendered. Please, girls, let's be fast with our chores. It's almost time for Engendered.
Girls, it's time for your favorite program, Engendered.
Yeah, Mommy, we're coming right away. Sophia, turn off the gas. What are your fears as a woman? And what are your doubts as a lady? You think you're alone with those thoughts? Then welcome to Engendered, where we bring you discuss, interviews, previews, experiences, opinions, and issues relating to the female gender. This is Engendered.
Welcome back to the program, and if you've just joined us, it is still Engendered, and it's coming to you live from our Abuja studios here on Kaftan Television. And before we went on that short break, we've been discussing menstrual hygiene, the affordability and accessibility of sanitary pad amidst inflation. And now our phone lines are now open for you to join the conversation. What do you think the government should do? What do you think organizations, individuals can do to help affordability and accessibility of menstrual hygiene products? Do join this conversation. Okay, before we went on that short break, Victoria was talking about another menstrual hygiene product that's in form of the cup. How do you think that is being done? How do people use that?
The cup.
Aside from the cup too, we have what we call the tampons. Like people, just like a cotton wool with a rope that you insert. And I kind of tend to wonder how people cope with that. I know people use it. Perhaps maybe we need an educator. Basically, yeah. I heard that it's very comfortable.
Very comfortable, and it lasts longer. It's just that you have to obey the 6-hour rule. Yes, if not, you do it for 12 hours and be battling infection at the end of the day. But tampons are very comfortable. Although not everybody know how to use tampon, because there are still some persons today that will tell you they don't like pad, they prefer tissue, they are used to tissue. But for those that have used tampons, tampon is very, very comfortable. It's just to know how to insert and know how to spread, that's all.
Okay, how about the cup method?
The cup. When you say cup, is actually, it makes me want to laugh. Personally, I've not used the cup, but with what I've had, I think it's been inserted. But what I struggle with is how do you get comfortable with something like that? Because this is a very sensitive part of the body. So how do you feel comfortable with something like that? Because I have not used it. So I've not seen somebody that have used it, but I have read about it, that people use it. So it would be I think one of my struggle for this year to look for that one person and say, please sit down and tell me, how do you manage it?
All right then, so let's take another part of it. I know that we are talking about advocacy for accessibility and affordability, but even before now that the prices have even skyrocketed, there was a time where it was as cheap as let's say 200. You could get, even they sell a single pad if you want, because maybe you cannot afford the bulk of it. I've seen that being sold, but you still find that many ladies would not want to use this pads. Okay, I've seen people who would say they prefer to even use cotton wool. Yes, instead of, they can just buy cotton wool of 2,000 naira. It would last them a year, and they insert it and use it. So what can we be saying to those? What should we be saying to those people right now? Because at that time it was not even expensive, and they didn't use it because they don't believe in it. They don't believe that it's safer to use pads, towels, or cups, or the tampon. Regardless, I just feel like it's modernization, moderning what we used to know before. So what should be your message out there?
Okay, I want to go back on just something you said. You said a pastor threw you off when he said our problem is spiritual. And we'll go back to that. It's funny because now the solution is we have to educate them on the dangers in using tissues and this and that, and you have to educate them on why they should use pad and why they should use the right pad. Proper education must be done. But the thing about mostly Africans is that because of ignorance, which is not an excuse, we inflict pain on ourselves and then run to God to pray. So when you tell them the cons around using those tissues and those pieces of rags and all that, when you tell them that is what will drag you to Shiloh in the next 5 years to go and cry for a baby, because infection must have blocked your womb, and Or that is what will cause you cervical cancer, that you'll be jumping from one church to another and telling pastor your great-grandmother is worrying you. So when you educate them on the dangers of it and tell them why they should use sanitary pad, the proper sanitary pad, I feel they will abide to it. They just need proper education.
Okay. All right, you said something about going back to me saying spirituality not our problem. I'm not saying it's totally not our problem. Now, I need us to understand that the whole system, there is a lot to be done. We need to work. We should not perhaps burden God so much, like with a whole lot of problems that we know we could solve ourselves. And when as a clergy, people look up to you, people anything you say, people take to heart. Okay, you should perhaps advise people, especially when you are on a tour with the government, to do more in terms of development and making life bearable for people, and not just term our problem spiritual. It means you are applauding the laziness in which the government is being portrayed as in the light of the day. That's my own point. It's not like I'm saying that it's not totally spiritual or it's off spiritual. Spirituality is no matter whether you're a Christian, Muslim, traditionalist, it's still spiritual. Life itself is spiritual.
That's a fact.
Right.
That's a fact.
Okay, let's talk about, still talking about menstrual hygiene. Can you tell us some of these hygienic practices that we should actually involve in when we are menstruating?
Okay. Always wash your hands. I always preach washing your hands. I've seen people remove pad and just go about their day and say, what is the next thing to do? You just touch blood. Can you please wash your hands? It's very important. And also dispose these materials properly. Make sure you dispose them properly. And please do not exceed the 6 hours rule. I know most of you have lights, flow and all that, but it's not an excuse to use your pad for 24 hours. If not, you'll be causing danger to your own self. So use your pad for 4 to 6 hours and then discard the pad properly. And also be very conscious of your body. When you buy some pad causes you to itch because of the mint. Make sure you know the right pad to use, because at times we fall victims to buying the wrong materials, the wrong pads to use. So make sure you know the right pad to use, and those are the most important.
I saw something online that said we should be careful of using a sanitary pad that has a smell.
Yes. Fragrance.
Fragrance. That's the word. That is kind of not advisable. Are you saying that also?
Yes, you shouldn't use sanitary pad that has fragrance.
But then people feel comfortable when they sometimes the blood smells. So when they have a sanitary pad that has fragrance, like it makes them feel comfortable.
Yeah, your comfort, your health is most important than that comfort. That's nice smell you think you're perceiving. At the end of the day, blood is blood. Blood has this smell that is so strong. So even if you have to spray perfume there, when you are pulling out that pad, you will still have the smell of blood come out. So I think you should be more conscious about your health and the effect of those fragrance that is not good for you health-wise before actually accepting to buy such things and all that.
Okay, moving forward, I would like to ask, in terms of, I've heard people, like, it's a myth though, sexual intercourse during periods, if it's fine. And recently, I happened to perhaps get into a platform where they were talking about something like that, and the nurse said it's not, it doesn't cause any disease, it's something you could do if you want. Right, there's no like repercussions thereabout, and I've heard people say, "Oh no, I can't do it when this for family, this for couples. Sorry, this for couples, and not for boyfriend and girlfriend." So they're still like, "No, I can't do it." Some people say, "No, it's fine. It's dirty." Some people say it's dirty. That's one question. Then the other, like Pamela said, blood smells. Now I've seen people that say, "Oh, because blood smell during my period, I won't go to work. I won't do anything. I'll just be inside the house. I just fold my legs and just be looking." And sometimes when they even have work to do, they call, they give, perhaps they take excuse because it's their period at that point, and they wouldn't really be doing anything. It's all this fine within this terms of menstrual management. Now, is it okay?
I'll address the
first question.
The first question. Whatever works for you, but you should be conscious of your health. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know the side effects.
But you're a Benin lady.
That is funny.
So it means she's cultural. But any lady that is from Edo, not Edo State, but maybe Benin. Maybe I should ask you where in Edo. But I know they are usually cultural about things like that.
I don't conform to culture, religion, and all that. I don't conform to norms, so I don't know what.
But norms are good.
Yes,
they help to set standards.
Yes,
sure.
Yes,
but
sure.
too much
they
of it is the problem.
God bless you. Yeah, they have to be a balance. You don't impose it on people. You let them learn about it and choose to abide with it. Yes, that's what we do. So I don't know about the intercourse. I really don't know if there's a side effect. But I'm a preacher of whatever works for you. If that's what rock your boat, do it. But be very conscious. Is it going to affect you, affect your health? Because at the end of the day, I don't want you disturbing one pastor and say your mother-in-law is worrying you. So you need to check those aspects. And then the second one, sorry, can you...
Okay, about people who would stay at home, not go out because they feel like blood smells. They don't want to be embarrassed. They don't want to get embarrassed. Sometimes because of cramps and the likes.
Yeah, I would appeal. You know, while growing up, I always said, if I grow, I'm going to become a president, and I'm going to put a law that when it's your period, walk free. Don't go to work, because period comes with a lot. It comes with fever. It comes with vomiting. You are literally sick. You are more sick than somebody that is down with malaria. I don't think people know the depth, like how it is to be on your period. You lose interest in everything. You're just tired. You wouldn't blame somebody to say, I don't feel like going to work today. Sometimes I wish our bosses were fair and just give you that 2 days off and say, take care of yourself. But the system.
So you advocate for...
We've even seen cases where it's still women who... Is it not something I go through also?
Yes.
But when I was in secondary school, there was one of my classmates, I've forgotten her name, when she wants to have her period, or menstruation rather, she will disturb, like the thing disturbs her that to the extent she disturbs everybody around her. Then me, my own small mind, I'll be saying this girl just likes attention. You see, every month you have to do this. Like every time I have to be very angry, and I'll be telling someone, is this how this girl disturbs? And you know, the boarding school, every house with their own. And she disturbs literally everyone around her. So, and I'll be so pissed. If not now, I get to understand that. Everybody with their body. There are some people that, I don't have cramps. I think just comes and goes. Maybe if I take too much sugary things that period, that is when I'll have slight pain. But for me, I can't use mine and now judge the next person. Even those female bosses who knows that sometimes people's own can be different. They still, you know what I go through? So why are you now doing like people don't go through same thing? So all these things, you don't just use yours and judge the next person. So I go with her.
And to add to it, I used to have a classmate in school. She faints. Yes, she faints. She'll faint. We'll rush her to the hospital. She'll wake up. She faints during period. The pain, she can't stand the pain. So how do you expect such person to come to work when they're in the hospital? They just fainted. So sometimes I wish our bosses can be fair.
But still, it has a disadvantage. You know, whatever has advantage, because some people like us that don't have cramps, during our period now, we'll not cross our leg. I'm not going to walk today. I'm on my period. And I feel it wouldn't even work because of the shape. Some men are looking there from women are fighting for equality. So why will you not come and sit at home because you're menstruating?
Exactly.
Thank you for that word.
Yes.
equality, why we are supposed to be fighting for equity.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, indeed. So I still, I'm sure maybe I'm indifferent about this because I feel like you should still come to work as a woman since we are fighting for gender parity. Okay, you shouldn't use your period as the basis for like negligence, or some people just do it very deliberately. I know some people feel pain, but some people can use that as measures just to like stay away from work or from duties or the like.
That is true.
Yeah, so well, it's been a very wonderful time. We are far spent of time and we have to go.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and we've learned a lot. I'm sure our viewers have taken one or two from the discussion, and yes, indeed, it's good that you have your sanitary periods and the likes management in a hygienic way. And until next time, my name is Victoria.
I am Pamela Ajaero. Thanks for joining us.
Bye. Thank you.
My name is Sheila Bisiafar, the Black comedian of the Federal Republic. I tell you, when it comes